Okay, what if I told you there's a hidden imbalance on your plate? Yeah, your plate that could be fueling a ton of our modern health problems. We're not talking about some fad supplement here. Today, we're diving deep, deep into the world of omega fatty acids, and we're going to uncover a story that might just change the way you look at food forever. So let's start with this. Imagine a silent, smoldering fire inside your body. That's basically what scientists call chronic inflammation. Now, what if the food you eat every single day is either fanning those flames or it's the water that puts them out? That's the huge idea we're digging into today. All right, here's our game plan. First, we'll unpack this whole modern inflammation problem. Then, we'll meet the two main players in this story, omega-6 and omega-3. We're going to break down exactly how omega-3s work their magic, look at the actual science behind the benefits, and then, the best part, we'll talk about some real steps you can take to rebalance the scales.
Okay, first up, let's really get to know this silent fire. We've got to understand the problem at the heart of this entire thing, and that is chronic inflammation.
You know, we're all familiar with acute inflammation, right? That's when you cut your finger and it gets all red and swollen. That's your body's amazing healing response in action. And that's a good thing. But chronic inflammation, that's totally different. It's like your body's alarm system is stuck in the on position, just buzzing away at a low level all the time. And over months and years, that constant state of alert can start to wear down and damage perfectly healthy parts of you. And this is why it is so incredibly important. This low-grade, simmering inflammation is a major driver behind a pretty shocking number of diseases. I mean, think about it. Autoimmune issues like rheumatoid arthritis, heart disease, brain disorders like Alzheimer's, metabolic problems. It's this one common thread that connects so many of our biggest health battles today. So, what's feeding this fire? Well, it's time to meet the two main characters in our story. Omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids. The easiest way to think about it is like this. Omega-6s are the fire starters. They create compounds that, get the inflammation party started, which, hey, you need in small doses to heal. You find them everywhere in refined vegetable oils, most processed foods. Then, on the other side, you've got the omega-3s. These are our firefighters, and they don't just fight the flames. They actively help resolve the situation and clean up the mess. You'll find these guys in things like oily fish, walnuts, and flax seeds. Okay, now here is the absolute key. Omega-6s are not the bad guys here. I gotta make that clear. The problem isn't that they exist. The problem is their complete and total dominance in our modern diet. For basically all of human history, we ate these fats in a nice, even 1-to-1 balance. But that has changed. A lot. And I mean, just look at the scale of this shift. That healthy, ancestral 1-to-1 ratio on the left has been completely and utterly dwarfed. Today, our diet has cranked that balance up to a mind-boggling 20-to-1, with some estimates putting it closer to 30-to-1. It's like we've built a giant bonfire of fire starters, and we've only got a tiny little squirt gun of firefighters to deal with it. So we know omega-3s are the firefighters, but how exactly do they put out the fire? Well, the mechanism is actually way cooler and more sophisticated than you might think. See, this is what's so fascinating. Omega-3s are proactive. They don't just stop the inflammation from getting worse. They are literally the building blocks your body uses to create the molecules that say, okay, crisis over, flip the switch to off, and then start the cleanup and repair job. So here's how it works. You eat your omega-3s. Your body takes them and turns them into these incredible little molecules called specialized pro-resolving mediators, or SPMs. But let's just call them the inflammation cleanup crew. They show up to the scene of the fire, they tell the alarm system to shut up, and they kickstart the whole healing and rebuilding process. And hey, this isn't just some nice analogy, this is hard science. As this 2023 review puts it, these SPMs are essential for managing the immune response and getting the body back to a state of healthy balance, or what scientists call homeostasis. It's a really beautiful system when you think about it. So we've got the problem, and we've got the mechanism. But what does all of this mean for our health in the real world? Let's get into the science of what happens when you start to fix this ratio. The research here is pretty compelling, especially for autoimmune conditions, where the body's own immune system gets confused and attacks itself. Study after study has shown that getting more omega-3s is linked with less disease activity for things like rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, psoriasis, and even MS. And if you want a hard number, get this. The huge VITAL trial gave us a really fascinating result. It found that taking both vitamin D and omega-3s over 5 years actually lowered the risk of developing an autoimmune disease in the first place by a whopping 22%. That points to a pretty powerful preventative effect. And of course, the benefits don't stop there. They extend to our most important organs. For your brain, an omega-3 called DHA isn't just helpful, it's a literal physical building block of your brain cells. That's why it's tied to better cognitive function. And for your heart, the evidence is rock solid. Omega-3s have been shown to lower major risk factors for heart disease. Researchers have even come up with a clever name for the link between this chronic inflammation and just getting older. They call it inflammaging. It's that constant low-level inflammation that's tied to so many age-related diseases. So by helping to dial that down, omega-3s can be a really powerful tool for helping us age in a healthier way. Okay, so this brings us to our final and maybe most important section. Knowing all this, what in the world do we actually do about it? Let's talk about how to rebalance the scales. First things first, and this is super important. The goal is not to declare war on omega-6s. They are essential fats. We need them. The mission here is simply to fix the massive imbalance, to restore a healthier, more anti-inflammatory ratio. It's all about balance. So how do we do it? The strategy is pretty simple, actually. It's all about adding and subtracting. First, add more omega-3s, more salmon, more walnuts. Second, subtract some of those excess omega-6s, which mostly means cutting back on processed foods and some of those common seed oils. The goal is to get that ratio down from, say, 20-1 to something much closer to 3-1. And of course, if you're thinking about a supplement to help get you there, that is an excellent conversation to have with your doctor. Which leaves us with this one last thought. In a world full of really complex medical fixes, could it be that one of the biggest keys to a healthier, less inflamed life is already sitting right there on our dinner plate? Something to chew on. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.